These and other trends. Goldstuck joins us in studio now. Great to have you with us.
Good evening,
Arthur.
Francis.
So in terms of trends, explain the context and what SYSPRO 8 means in terms of software development trends.
SYSPRO plays in a space called enterprise resource planning, which is usually a very complex system that manages all the systems, all the data, all the
like
inputs
SAP
of an organization. Well. It's a direct competitor to SAP, although they play in a different space. They're a South African organization that has really made massive inroads globally. And today's event was launching something called SYSPRO 8, which is a new version of their ERP software. And the significance of this is that it incorporates new emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and the like. And we did a research project with SYSPRO a few months ago where we looked at the uptake of those technologies in South Africa. And it was quite revealing. Partly what SYSPRO was talking about today was the factory of the future. And our research talks about, you could say, the elements of the factory of the future and how ready South Africa is for those elements. But also the overriding context of all of this is the process of what they call digital transformation, which is the digitalization of all processes in an organization, whether it's a bank or a mine or a factory.
So I'm scared to ask how prepared we are.
Well, that was the 64,000 Rand, maybe a bit devalued question by now, but it's going to be a far more expensive question in the future. And the truth is that we're at a watershed at the moment in uptake of these technologies. And by that I mean that we can see the beginnings, we can see that companies are preparing for the technology. Most companies say that they are preparing to take up technologies like AI and blockchain, virtual reality, robotics. But in all of those cases, the current uptake is still very small. So the most we're seeing is something like 13% of enterprises taking up technology like artificial intelligence, for example. But when you ask about future uptake, you see more than half, in some cases up to 2/3 of companies planning to take it up. But there is one exception. The one area where South Africa is among the world leaders is in what they call IoT, or the Internet of Things, which is connected devices from which you collect information about the environment. And the reason we're ahead is because it's what is fundamental to vehicle tracking and fleet management. And South Africa, of course, has a long track record in tracking.
And the whole idea, isn't it, is that you can switch on your lights when you're still at the office, you can control your electricity when you're not there, your fridge can talk to, I don't know, your list of things you need to buy. We're not there yet.
No, that you might almost call the end game of the beginning of the Internet of Things. Right now, we're only at the point of being able to track objects and products and monitor them. But for one of the examples that was given this morning in terms of what SYSPRO is doing, they're able to put monitors into industrial fridges, and they're able to get reports through the ERP system of whether there are issues with refrigerators. What are the average temperatures, for example? Where
so you no longer need
failing?
A person there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Without having any human contact with these devices remotely, you can monitor the performance of your facilities. And for example, factories and plants will in the future be monitored entirely through IoT, but you could say automatically reporting into the ERP system. So forgive all the acronyms, but IoT and ERP will in future go together like ABC.
Looking at it, I mean, you were at this event today, and there's fears about job losses, especially in a country about South Africa. Do you sit there and think, oh, that's all overblown, you know, this is happening slowly and steadily, or do you think, woof, there's a tidal wave coming and we're not prepared for it?
There is a tidal wave coming. We're not prepared, but we could be prepared. And the big thing with artificial intelligence in particular is that it augments humans' roles. It doesn't have to replace them. But what it does replace, and what it will replace on a massive scale, is low-level jobs and unskilled jobs in information management. So that means we have to prepare for a very near future where we train people to be able to work with AI and to do more advanced work, but with AI doing the heavy lifting, you might say. So artificial intelligence will be used to, for example, in a law firm, to scour old cases for precedents, or in accounting, the basic auditing work can all be done by artificial intelligence, and the auditors can do more advanced work. They can do, for example, consulting or business advice, and the basic auditing that would have taken a huge team weeks to do can take minutes for artificial intelligence.
I think some people will be happy that the robots will be doing the auditing, considering the recent crises in South Africa.
Exactly.
Finally, I mean, you're talking about 13% of companies that are looking ahead. Is there a danger here that if you miss the curve, if you don't start looking at the trends for your company now, you could just miss the bus?
No, definitely. In terms of artificial intelligence, it's something like 13% currently exploring it, but about half are intending to use it in the future, more than half, in fact.
But they need to start thinking how.
But they have to start exploring, thinking through it. We identified a number of rules of how businesses integrate technology, or how they accept technology in the environment. And I'm talking about emerging technologies, not the old computers and office software, but these emerging technologies like artificial intelligence. And one of the rules in business is that there has to first be a use case. If there's a use case, in other words, how do we use it in our business, that becomes a business case. But the problem lies when the business case is measured against profits. So for most companies, a business case has to be about business profits. If there isn't profitability immediately from the business case, then there isn't a business case. And that's the mistake that most companies in this country make. They're not looking forward far enough to the likelihood that they're going to fall behind their competition and go out of business if they don't accept that the business case right now is not about profit.
So think long term. Thank you very much, tech expert from Worldwide Works, Arthur Goldstuck.